Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today, and I have a video here to talk about a movie that I saw back in the day when it came out in 2007. This movie is almost 20 years old, and it's crazy to me. It turns out it's also a Christmas horror film, or Christmas thriller film, that I forgot all about it being a Christmas movie to begin with. But I saw this at a pawn shop yesterday, and I went ahead and grabbed a copy up because I've wanted to see it again for so long, and I have not come across this movie out in the wild at Goodwill, pawn shops, anywhere for probably a good portion of 15 years at this point, because for whatever reason this movie wasn't well received when it came out by everybody, but rewatching it last night, it was a blast. And that movie is called P2. Now, it's about an hour and 40 minutes long. If you cut off the credits, it's closer to an hour and 30, which is great for timing because the pacing is great on this. Anyway, this is such a surprise of a movie that I had forgotten so much about. I remembered the basic concept and that was it, but it was a blast to rewatch last night. Even my wife was getting into it watching this too, and after a good night at work and having a good dinner with my wife where she made us some great quesadillas, we put this on and I was totally absorbed, 100% absorbed. It was so much fun to watch this last night after so long. And it maintains to keep this Christmassy feeling to it too, even though it's kind of like in the Die Hard situation where it's just taking place on Christmas Eve. It's not a Christmas movie per se. Anyway, we have a young lady here who's a workaholic at an office job. In this office building that she works at, I believe in New York City, I believe. Some of the outer streets sometimes look like Canadian, so I don't know. I haven't been to either place, Canada or New York City, so I don't know shit about either or what they look like out beside the buildings. But anyway, this building has a concrete garage underground that you have to go into to get in and out of the place. And on Christmas Eve, she leaves really late, talking to her security guard friend because she's supposed to take some presents to her sister's house for her nieces and nephews and whatnot, and they're expecting her. But she ends up having a run-in with a guy who is the working security guard on Christmas Eve, hanging out in the building by himself. And he's a little strange at first, and then we realize he is the antagonist of the story. However, the film at first tries to portray him as a lonesome, sad kind of dude, just by himself. But there's more to it than that. And he's a nutbag, an absolute wacko, man. I think the casting for both this young lady, some of the side characters, this security guard who's our main villain here, they are really, really good. Even though they have some dialogue that security guard guy, our villain, like I said, really is not that good at portraying, but he's supposed to be a total wacko crazy, and he nails it sometimes. Most of the time, I would say, actually. Now, the director of this film is also the director / writer of the Maniac remake with, what's-his-face, Frodo. So I was very impressed already with how well shot this was. This had to have been a lower budget, sort of kind of one location movie. Not trapped to one room, but one location is in this garage. And you'd be surprised how well utilized that garage is for this movie. It has some great tense moments over and over again throughout P2. It's a fun watch, it's a thrilling watch because of, the different things that happen to this young woman. She may be handcuffed at certain points and having to try to figure out a good way to use like a weapon. Not only to fend somebody off, but also like a dog, because the maniac has a crazy, insane dog for some reason that's allowed on this property. And he might just sick the dog after her. There's a lot of moments that involve stress about, I don't know what I would do in this situation. And frankly, most of the time, aside barring one moment, this chick is written wonderfully as a strong female character in a good way, not an obnoxious way. Once upon a time, kids, we used to write really good female characters in movies. This is a great example of one that I think is done super well. But the tension, the thrills of it, I think, really make P2 a fun watch overall. It's well shot. The directing, I think, is pretty good. The camera work is good for more of a stationary time, like we used to do back in the day for movies in the mid-2000s. We didn't do all this crazy overhead shots and all of this wild drone shot crap. We didn't do all that. We just made a good movie that was fun to watch and entertaining. And that's what P2 was. There is no art house syndrome to it. There's none of that crap that ruins modern day horror, in my opinion, and thriller, in my opinion. This was a blast to watch. The performances from both this young lady and the security guard, like I said, are pretty much good, but she's great. She's really great. And he's really threatening, I would say. P2 is a great watch. If you haven't seen it before, it's definitely worth your time. But let me tell you, I had forgotten that there is a little bit of gore in this movie. And when I say gore, I don't mean blood. I don't mean like somebody just getting cut. I mean like there's a little bit of body horror in this. And not in the traditional sense. Usually when we talk about body horror, you're talking about like somebody transforming into something, anything like that in most creature features. No. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about are things like somebody at one point getting the big squish, like squished. And it was horrific. It was not modern day practical or modern day CGI effects where you had like just goofy looking shit mixed into dark shots, you know? No, these were practical effects and they looked so good. So good. I think everything in the film is practical aside from one moment towards the finale. But anyway, I really enjoyed this. The writing was good, the directing, acting, everything was really good. I was never taken out of the film aside from a couple of the scenes that, you know, had that guy perform some writing dialogue that was a little messy, like I said, granted. But this was a blast to watch. I am so glad I got a copy of this, man. It was so much fun. It was even one of those DVDs that had the locks on the side of the boxes. Remember that shit back in the day? How awful was that, especially when they did it on Blu-rays? Oh, God. Anyway, P2, probably one of the best Christmas horror films ever made. It's such a blast. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it so highly to you. If I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, mind you, this is right up my alley. I love this kind of thing. I give it a really high 4 out of 5 stars. I almost went for a 5 out of 5. Decided not to do it. I felt like that was a little bit much, but this was up there with like something like Jennifer Lopez in Enough. You know, like that's a great film. I think that's a 5 out of 5 for me. This is like right behind that. This is that kind of movie, I think. But anyway, great time. I like the Christmas decorations that are in it. For example, the security guard has his little office decorated with some Christmas lights. They do little office decorations around the rest of the building and stuff. The lobby has a Christmas tree. They play Christmas music throughout the film, which, by the way, great soundtrack because of that alone. Awesome movie. I recommend it so well if you haven't seen it. If you want a good, you know, thriller to watch with your girlfriend, your wife, whatever, on this particular night, on this Saturday, check out P2. I promise you, you're gonna love this shit, man. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.